Hey there, Pixies and Peeps! Thanks for tuning in to the Purple Pixie, and welcome back to the Fairy Garden, otherwise known as my craft room. Today I'm taking part in a collaboration called What Would You Make? It's a challenge hosted by Zaina over at OK at Home DIY and Marsha at Marsha's Mush and Stuff. I'll tell you more about that later, but first let's jump in with the first DIY, the desk organizer with dual picture frames. One thing you should know about me is I really love to create decor that is also functional. So I made these desk organizers for my sister and my brother-in-law to put on their desk at the company they own in Lafayette. This first one that I'm going to make is for my sister, so it's going to have a little girlish tone to it. And since the challenge is to craft with wood, I'm going to be using these large size actual Jenga blocks, some MDF board, which is actually recycled wood pressed together, and the glass from two 5x7 picture frames from Dollar Tree. Of course, first things first, everything gets a coat of paint. So let's just use some fairy magic. And there we go, all nicely painted. I wish that worked on the dishes, or the laundry, or even the toilets. That would be nice, huh? Anyway, moving along. I'm taking the glass out of these two frames and I'll put the frames aside for a later project. And now I'm going to take some painter's tape and measure out the sides and lengths of my frame. Each frame, or glass shall I say, will need a piece of tape for the top, the bottom, and both sides. And now I'm going to give them all a nice coat of paint in Ballet slipper. Now to construct the pencil part for the desk organizer, I'm taking 3 Jenga blocks at a time and using a straight edge to line them up and make them flush, I'll glue them all together. Once I have 4 sets of 3, I'm going to use my straight edge again to make sure they're flush, and I'm going to glue those together in order to make a cube. Next, I just place the cube onto the MDF board and the Jenga blocks where the glass frames will go. I'm measuring how far apart the Jenga blocks need to go in order to hold the glass. However, don't do like I did and glue them too close together, because remember, we're going to be putting tape around the edges of the glass, and that's going to make it a little thicker. So I had to go back and redo this part, but luckily you won't have to because you already learned from my mistake. Now once the paint is dry on the tape, go ahead and apply it to your glass and try to get half on one side and half on the other. That way you don't see anything showing through on the other side. Which is another mistake I made and had to go back and rectify. But I'm going to spare you from having to see that too and just show you the right way to do it the first time. If you do happen to still see some of the tape on the other side, you can go down it with a straight edge and a razor blade to trim it up. To give the top of that pencil cube a more finished look, I'm going to go over it with some craft sticks. So here I am measuring it out, and then I will glue them down and paint them. If you're new to my channel, I'd like to say hello, welcome. My name is Crystal, otherwise known as the Purple Pixie. I'm glad that you joined me today, and I really hope you would consider subscribing to my channel and becoming a part of the Pixie Party. I have lots of cheap crafts and lots of cheap laughs. So if that's the kind of thing you're looking for on YouTube, well, you've found it. And if you're returning to the Purple Pixie and are already a part of the Pixie Party, I'd like to say welcome back. I'm glad you joined me. And thank you so much for all of your support, because you know that without you, I wouldn't be here. Okay, so now it's time for some more painting, and I'm just doing a dry brushing technique with the color Mineral, just to give it a little bit of a distressed look. Not exactly going for the farmhouse or rustic look, I just want the colors to pop a little bit more, rather than be just that flat green on a piece of wood. And now to put the popsicle or craft sticks on the top of the cube to give it that finished look. And don't you know I have to use my ruler for a straight edge because I'm so crooked. I can't even walk in a straight line anymore. And then I decided to give it a little more of a girly look and go in and dry brush it with some more of the Ballet slipper. This is also going to help it tie into the color that we painted the painter's tape to go around the glasses. And now to jazz it up and make it a little blingy, I'm going to take some of this diamond wrap, which is not adhesive by itself, and I'm going to glam it up around the edges. Of course, gotta use those finger protectors, because that hot glue goes straight through this stuff. And in other words of the wise, make sure you get this on straight the first time. However, if you don't, like I did, you can always use your heat gun to warm up the hot glue and remove the bling wrap and replace it. By the way, the pictures in the frame, those are my grandsons. Aren't they adorable? I made this desk organizer a couple of months ago when my second grandson had just been born. He was only a few days old, and this was the only pictures I had of him. But I sure am a proud meemaw. Can you tell? In fact, when my sister came to get this, I had those pictures still in the frame, and I told her I would take them out. She said, "Hell no! I want those pictures. You can print you up some more." So I did. Now here you can see me using my heat gun to warm up the glue on this bling wrap because it just wasn't quite straight enough. I tried to maneuver it around with my mini screwdriver, but ultimately ended up having to peel it off, warm up the glue again, and then put the bling wrap back down. Here I'm just showing you how you can place two pictures in the glass. You could use double-sided tape or something to make them stick in place, but I just maneuvered them in there and held it tight together and then slipped it in between the Jenga blocks. My sister really loved this desk organizer, and I did too. So now a little bit more about our host for this challenge. Let's start with Zaina from OK at Home DIY. She does a lot of great things on her channel. She's very talented and creative. And so is Marsha over at Marsha's Mush and Stuff. You should check out both their channels, which I'll have linked below. And I want to thank them both for hosting this challenge. But now let's get into DIY number 2, the desk organizer with the phone holder. Now this desk organizer I made from my brother-in-law, and I'm starting out with some more MDF board, and I'm going to cut it at a 45-degree angle. And using both pieces, the one I cut off and the tall part, I'm going to put those onto another piece of MDF board after I sand them down a bit. These two pieces are going to be our phone stand. So to make sure that they hold well, I'm going to use a combination of wood glue and hot glue. Of course, the hot glue is to hold it in place quickly, while the wood glue has a chance to dry. Some DIYers call this the short-term, long-term hold, but it's really not a short-term because the hot glue is long-term as well. And now to make something to hold pencils and pens, I'm going to use this empty paper towel tube. I'm measuring it down to about the height that we need it by putting a pin inside of it and measuring it from there. And then once I have it cut straight with my box cutter, I'm going to take some craft sticks and cut those down as well to go all the way around it. Speaking of craft sticks, here's a quick PSA for you. If you ever see these on Amazon, do not buy them. They sound like a great deal for your money, but they're far from perfect sticks. In fact, more than half of the entire box was warped or damaged or distorted. So just take my word on this one and save your money and spend it elsewhere. Now once I had some of the good craft sticks glued all around my paper towel holder, I also painted the entire thing in Java by Folk Art. I put some Jenga blocks on the bottom for a riser, and now need to fill in one little gap on my pencil holder. So I'm using my box cutter and of course my ruler for a straight edge to cut a very thin strip out of one of the craft sticks. And now I'm going to use some more of the wood glue to hold the pencil holder onto the MDF board. Be sure to wipe away any glue that may ooze out. Now I want to embellish this desk organizer with some faux leather. This is the look I'm going for. And to achieve it, I'm just going to use regular old spackle from the Dollar Tree. You may see some glue lines there, but that's from an attempt of something else that just did not work out. So for this second attempt, I'm just going to use some more painter's tape and tape off the areas that I want to put my spackle. And using my finger, I just put a light coat in between the tape lines and let it dry. This technique was so easy and high-end, I almost wanted to name it Dawn. a girl I used to know. I'm not going to go into any further detail on that because I'm pretty sure you smart folks can put two and two together. Anyway, here I am peeling off the tape after the spackle is dried. I'm just going to run a little bit of sandpaper over it very gently to kind of smooth out the texture a little. And then I'm going to replace the tape and sponge paint these two different colors of brown onto the spackle. You could use a sponge brush or a paintbrush if you like, but I'm just using this old makeup wedge. And I'm layering the colors just so I can get some depth and dimension. Do you have any techniques that you like to use to make faux finishes like this? If so, let me know in the comments down below. I'm always up for learning new things. I just kept going back over and over with one color over another until I got the desired leather look that I wanted. To jazz it up a little bit, I'm going to take these brads and in my wire cutters and I clip the pins off of them, put them on some painter's tape, and I'm dabbing the same colors of brown onto the top in order to kind of tone down the shine on them. And last, after I glued on the brads, I'm going in with a fine tip brush to just touch up a few of the little white areas that were covered by the painter's tape. I can't wait for you to see it in the final reveal, but for now let's get into our last DIY, the Valet tray. This is also a gift I made for someone, my sweet, sweet neighbor, Mr. Brian. I started out with another piece of that MDF board because I have quite a bit of it as it was gifted to me by a friend who works at a workshop and their scrap pieces were just being thrown away. I cut down a lot of pieces of those craft sticks, and as you saw, I sanded the ends of them so they won't be rough. And then I gave the MDF board a good coat of paint in the color Java. And now I'm giving my craft sticks a nice coat of stain. To do this, all I did was spray some water in the bottom of an upside down Coke can, dip my paintbrush in some of the paint, then in some of the water, and then brushed it onto my pieces. Before they dried completely, I wiped them off with a baby wipe. Now I'm putting the smaller pieces of the craft sticks onto the outer edge of the MDF board. I'm keeping it flat on the table so that it'll give me a straight line. Once they're all glued on, I'm going to take these popsicle sticks that I've cut the ends off of and lay them across the top of the craft sticks to sort of give them more support. I put 2 layers of the popsicle sticks to make it a little thicker. And now I'm going to take some of this foam core board and measure it out to fit the inside of the box. This is going to be our lid once we put some other craft sticks on top of it, so I want it to fit inside the popsicle sticks. And once I have the right size, I'm just going to start gluing the longer pieces of craft sticks with just a little bit of an overhang on each end onto the foam core board. And can you believe it? I didn't even use a straight edge to lay these down, and I got them all flush. And now, using my Java chalk paint again, I'm going to give the top lid, or the underneath of the lid, a good coat of paint, as well as the popsicle sticks on the inside of the box. Then I'm going to take this drawer pull that I got in a pack from Walmart, and I'm going to glue it into the center of the lid as a handle. However, it did come off, so I had to put some Gorilla Glue on there and hot glue to hold it in place. And once everything was dry and ready, I gave it a good coat of this hard coat Mod Podge. I just wanted to give it a good coat of sealant in case it should ever get wet and that stain might wash off the craft sticks. For a finishing touch, I'm going to take some of this faux leather sheets that I got from BB Craft, and I'm going to cut some 1/4 inch strips to go around the bottom of the box and the top of the lid. I'll leave a link for BB Craft in the description box below because I'm really loving these faux leather sheets. I can cut down as small as I want or as large as I want, and they came in a pack of 10 assorted colors. I even have blue, pink, yellow, purple, and green. And now for a final coat of that hard coat Mod Podge on the underside of the lid and the inside of the box, and this project is all done. Oh, and don't forget the bottom of the box too. So are you ready to see how they all came out? Well, good, because here is the final reveal. So, what did you think? Were they magic or mishap? Please let me know in the comments down below. And hey, while you're down there, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And make sure you ring my bell so you'll be notified every time I upload a video. I'd really love for you to join the Pixie Party and have some cheap crafts and cheap laughs. And with all that being said, I'm going to leave you with this. We are like blocks of wood. We can change our finish, but not our grain. Alan Robert Neal. Once again, I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed day, and please remember that all of me loves all of you.